You're looking at possibly the only man on the planet who can step up to the great Patricio Pitbull a second time. It's Emmanuel Sanchez, featherweight contender, who's going to be in the main event April 2nd, the launch of Bellator MMA on Showtime and a semi-final bout of the Featherweight World Grand Prix. Manny, always a pleasure to talk to you. And this, a second chance at gold. How are you feeling as we get closer to the night?
Feeling excellent, man. 2 weeks away. Just blessed and grateful and soaking it all in. Uh, it's been a long time coming. Going back to, losing to Daniel Weichel the first time, I knew I wanted that one back, and I did. And then went on a win streak, lost to Patricio Pitbull. I knew I wanted that one back too. And here we are. So you can't write a better story.
No, and you've won 7 of 8. That lone loss to Pitbull a couple of years back in Tel Aviv, and I want to start right there because I want to give Patricio his flowers. He is a 2-division champion. He's the face of the franchise. He's a great fighter. But what you were able to do over 5 rounds, heading into that final round, maybe with the fight up for grabs, taking his best shots. When you look back at that fight, is there a feeling of moral victory? Are you upset still? How do you feel about the performance you put up against him in a very close night at the office?
There's a lot of positives I can take from that. He's got a highlight reel of knockouts. And like you said, the face of the franchise and being a champ of featherweight and lightweight now and been on top for so long. He's, the only one stoppage loss when it's just a leg break, but he's looked pretty dominant, obviously, throughout his whole Bellator tenure, throughout his career. And seeing as I gave him his toughest fight, and he admitted to that, I take those positives from it. And knowing that I took his best shots and he did his best to try to stop me and still couldn't, that for me, that was just a great lesson. And I learned a lot from that fight. He taught me a very valuable lesson.
You were able to do what you just said, what very few can. Take his best shots, go into the deep waters, and have your own moments. So what do you think, with all respect to everybody else in the 16-man bracket, what has made you different that you're able to step up to the champ like this and now enter a second chance as a very live dog?
I like how you just mentioned you go back and you say the first 16. And then when you go back to the selection show, you see when Pitbull even kind of made a little more dramatic and said, who wants to fight me, when he got to pick again, because he had the champ's choice, he could have mixed up the bracket however he wanted to, or took in the empty slot. And he elected to pick March, which I kind of knew as the champion, and he admitted to it, saying being older. And I didn't know he had another baby on the way, but I just knew from fight after fight and training after training camp, he's not going to pick December or January. He's going to want to time off and the time to relax and rest, especially having just getting ready to, or what he recently did, beating Michael Chandler. And you see everybody stand up and start throwing their cards and calling out his name. And I'm just sitting there just all like surprised. I'm like, wow, all these people and these other fighters who wanted to it seemed like they just wanted to crack at him, when I knew, I was like, he's not going to pick me, that's for sure. And he already beat Daniel Weichel twice, so he's not going to mix that up at all. So I was interested to see on how that would go down and who he would pick or what he would do. But I knew for sure he was going to pick March. And that's something that I didn't necessarily expect, but it was almost like he did me a favor, putting himself on that side of the bracket, knowing that I, for one, had the opportunity to avenge one loss in Daniel Weichel, and now the opportunity to avenge this loss against him. He shook things up and switched it over, took Carvalho instead of Caldwell. So it changed a lot of things up for a lot of other fighters too, I'm sure, for the other side of the bracket on what they wanted or what they expected. But for me, I wasn't necessarily chasing him. I wanted to win this whole thing. So as much as I wanted to crack at him again, I wasn't, in my mind, thinking I'll pick March or try to get Patricio right away, when I think a lot of other guys probably just wanted to get him right away or wanted to be the champion right away. In my eyes, I want to win this whole thing. And now I'm in the position to do so. And even better, in avenging this one loss and then going out and taking out a great undefeated fighter in the final in AJ McKee. So in my position that I'm at right now, I just feel like you can't write a better story. A man who was able to have the toughest run to win this whole thing, taking out two undefeated fighters, one in the beginning and one in the end, and having two fighters who beat him.
Fantastic. When you look back again at that first fight, uh, you had your moments. How close do you think you were at stopping him, at having the ultimate moment when you go back and watch that tape?
Very. I remember it like it was yesterday. I tell everybody about it all the time when I'm teaching the younger fighters and learning and practicing and bettering my own technique. I'm like thinking, wow, man, it was like, dang, it's that easy. And as great as he is and all the accolades he has and everything that he's done, I just know that I have the style to beat him. Likewise with all the other fighters that he's faced, not just obviously outside of the Grand Prix, but in the Grand Prix so far on what he's done. So with Juan Archuleta and Pedro Carvalho, both great fighters. Juan Archuleta is the bantamweight champ now. Carvalho was working his way on up. He was young, he's hungry, and wanted to prove himself and make a name for himself. But I just know I have way more experience because I fought more fighters in this Grand Prix, and I'm also the only other fighter to fight the two other champions. There's only been two other title holders in Bellator, which is Pat Curran and Daniel Strauss. So no one else has fought all three of them but me. So I knew with the amount of experience that I had and the style and what I bring to the table that I already would be as tough as fight, and I was. But now, again, knowing what I know now and seeing that he taught me a very valuable lesson and I wasn't able to get my hand raised that night, I know I've had to make those adjustments to be able to go out and this time for sure get the stoppage.
Absolutely. There's some great divisions in many organizations around the world, even beyond Bellator. But this could be a loaded question, but I wonder what you think about it. If you beat Patricio Pitbull in the semifinals of this tournament, you'd be the Bellator champion. You'd achieve your dreams. But would it also make you the best featherweight fighter in the world, in your opinion?
Not entirely, not just yet. I feel like I'd be the best only because I'd be the current title holder, but I want something more than that, and that's the World Grand Prix champion. So I'm a strong man of faith, and I feel like this was a strong lesson from the big man above that it didn't happen for me in that night in Israel, and it's because it's for something better. So instead of just the Bellator featherweight world champion, the Bellator featherweight world Grand Prix champion. And this tournament format, it's beautiful because we all knew who we were fighting and when we were going to fight them and etc. But then COVID hit, and then this just made it even better. My fight got canceled because of this. It's been a year since that happened. We had to wait. I had to stay patient, and I've been working throughout that whole time. A lot of people got down on themselves or let themselves get fat. Or a lot of other fighters that I knew were just like, oh, well, fights are canceled now and the world's shut down and who knows, we're probably never going to be able to do this again. And I didn't know. I had a lot of mixed emotions when that happened, but I never lost faith. I never lost hope, and I never gave up. So I just knew if I just continue to keep working right now, the opportunity will arise. Doesn't matter if it takes 10 years to do it, that, I'll be ready either way. And sure enough, thank God it didn't take 10 years, but it only took a few months. But now here we are, the fights are picking back up. I think slowly but surely, maybe there's going to be limited fans and maybe a large amount of fans. Who knows? We'll see. A lot of other states are starting to open back up, or we'll see what Bellator has planned. And, the big boss, Scott Coker, is doing big things. But until I win this whole Grand Prix, that's where I would cement my status as being the best featherweight in the world.
AJ McKee is unbeaten. He's awaiting the winner of this for the finals of this tournament. We had a chance to talk with AJ. He says he hopes you win this fight, then he can win the featherweight title from you. Then he wants to move up to lightweight and take Pitbull's other title. He said he'd follow Pitbull up to heavyweight if he had to. There's a lot of Pitbull talk out of his mouth. Do you think whether we're talking about AJ McKee or Pitbull himself or the media or the fans, that people are giving you enough respect entering this matchup that you have the same opportunity that you could very well be facing off ready to give McKee his first loss in defending that title?
And that's exactly what I'm looking forward to do, make history. So both of those men, amazing fighters. One, undefeated, longest win streak in Bellator history. The other, champ, been the longest reigning champion, done all these things. So they've already, broken some records. So I'm looking to do so with this one, be the first man to stop Patricio Pitbull and be the first man to stop AJ McKee. And then we will have the opportunity to see those two fight. Then they can fight. And then I'll either have a rematch with either one of them, a trilogy with Patricio Pitbull or a rematch with AJ McKee, whether it be at featherweight, at lightweight, at heavyweight, who cares? Another, I guess, record that I want to have, since both of those men have something that I can no longer break, is having title defenses. So going on and being one of the greatest featherweight champions, just like how Patricio Pitbull has been, or Daniel Strauss or Pat Curran, the champions before them. Since in Bellator history, that's all the champions that we've known at featherweight. You want to go back even further, Joe Warren. So yeah, you got to go back a ways away though, but I'm looking to do something great and something different. I understand that there's a lot of obviously back and forth between them, and that's been going on for a while. But as they should, everyone. I think that's smart of McKee. You should always be hunting the champion, and since he's been the champion for so long, his mind is in the right place. He's hunting the champion because he wants to be the champion. So he's doing whatever that he needs to do in order to, not only say keep himself relevant, but I'm going to say earning that win streak because he wants to put himself in that position. So I want to put myself in that position, so I know I have to go out and defeat Patricio Pitbull and then spoil the party, defeat AJ McKee. And like I said, then we'll have the opportunity to see those two fight, and then I'll have a trilogy with Patricio Pitbull or a rematch with AJ McKee. And either one, you mix it up with all three of us. Amazing fights, I'm sure, amongst the three of us there. So.
And I know you're not putting any cart before the horse. You're not looking ahead. You know what's in front of you with Pitbull, but how much do you think about the life-changing opportunities here? I mean, the Bellator brand is rising. This was a big power move corporately to move to Showtime. The quarantine happened, but look at where you are now. You have the opportunity, if you beat Pitbull and McKee in succession, to be Bellator's featherweight champion, the Grand Prix winner, maybe the best featherweight in the world, and maybe an overnight star. And it's not that fans hadn't known you in the MMA space for a while, but if you achieve here, you could be the fighter of the year. On top of it, a lot could happen for you and your family. Do you think about that this calendar year could be a monstrous turning point in your life?
Absolutely. And it's taking a long time to do so. I was just talking to my teammates, younger teammates that are under 25 that, of course, want to be in the position I am, and other teammates of mine am, like Anthony Pettis, Sergio Pettis, Tyron Woodley, Paul Felder. And I explained to them, guys, nothing was overnight. It's taken me a long time to get here. Of course, I would have loved today, I believe, is in 2011 when John Jones became the youngest champion at 23 years old. I would have loved that. Who wouldn't have loved that? Sage Northcutt, 19 in the UFC. There's so many great things, right? Be able to do, being under the age of 25, to be able to make that happen for you. But everyone's road is different. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the struggles. I'm grateful for the losses because it only made me work harder. It only made me more motivated, and it only showed me and made me the wiser fighter, stronger fighter, a human being, man, martial artist that I am today. And now knowing that these two fights, obviously in this calendar year, being the biggest fights of my life, you could just say two fights could, yes, dramatically change my life in the sense that more people will know who I am now because of COVID. I will say that too, because of COVID. I'm thankful for that as well too, because potentially I know for sure in April 2nd, we'll have no fans, but even going into the final, we'll probably not have an audience. We don't know. We'll see. That's in the near future, so that's too hard to tell. But everyone has to stay on top watching it, downloading Showtime or finding their way, to be able to watch these fights. When back then you could get a ticket and everyone would try to fly or drive or be able to see you and want to watch that fight live. Now everyone has to stay on top in the social media and the internet world to stay on top of that. And I think that I haven't stood out the most compared to these two because I don't have as many stoppages as they do. Or let's just say highlight reels, quick knockouts, quick submissions, etc. Which for me is fine. I'm a completely different fighter than them, and likewise they are to me. But I've still been able to showcase my skills and do great things, and do whatever it takes to win. And I know I'm not boring, so even though I don't have as many stoppages as those two, I'm still a barn burner, and I'm still an entertainer, and I still put on a show. So I know that's why I've been on most of these biggest cards too throughout my Bellator career, in the co-main event slot, in the main event slot, or for sure at least always on the main card, because people like to see me fight, even if it does go the distance or I do whatever it takes to get the stoppage, and if not, whatever it takes to get my hand raised. But me being able to beat these two, seeing as they have a little more notoriety because of their little beef between each other and the little highlight reels that they have, it makes for a great story because I know I'd be probably going in as the underdog to both of them, which is fine for me because that means I'm hungrier. I'm hungrier to prove that I'm the better fighter. So beware the underdog. Do whatever it takes to come out and end up on top.
Well, your evolution has been fun to see how you've taken your aggressive style, but added so many layers of craft to it, maybe a little bit more patience, a lot of changes that we only see you in the cage. But what happens in the cage is obviously not the whole story. So, this past couple of years, as you've evolved inside the cage, what is going on in your personal life that you can really credit that has also helped you grow into a better fighter?
So I gotta say, COVID. When I turned 30, I got COVID. So for my 30th birthday, it was a milestone, right? I'm in a whole new decade. And I think a day or two later, I already wasn't feeling the greatest. And what I wanted to do for my birthday around that time in the summer here in Milwaukee, since it doesn't last that long, we don't get that great of summers. But that past summer of, in 2020, we did. So I was training a lot. I was like, well, if I can't fight and who knows when I'll be able to fight again, I'm just going to train myself into the ground and just, I got myself to a very low point too, in my weight, just because I'm like, I'm going to just cut weight just cause I wanted to. I'm like, it made me feel something closer to fighting. And I thought I was just overtrained. So I felt a little under the weather. I was like, man, I don't feel that great. I was like, maybe am I training too hard? I'm running too much. I'm hitting it too hard in the gym. Right when that was around the time where stuff was slowly opening back up. So I was hitting the gym a lot more too. And I went and I tested positive for COVID, and it definitely, I had no horrible effects in my lungs or in anywhere else in my body, thank God. But I feel it definitely, it only elevated my spirit and my mind, because I knew I was like, well, dang, this is what canceled my fight. And this is why a lot of people, families have lost their family members. People have lost their jobs. Like this really did change the world. And now I see and I felt, I guess, the effects of that. So I was a little more sentimental towards this global pandemic on why and how this was all going down. And I was a little more sensitive towards the whole situation. And some people is still as well too. They don't want to go out to eat still or go get their own groceries yet, or families who still can't see each other because obviously it affects the elderly a little more, but or those who already have lung conditions or whatever health ailments. So I was definitely more empathetic with people and kept my distance. We're practicing our social distancing and staying safer at home and all the above. But it only made me grow and want to become a better man and want to spread nothing but peace, love, and positivity. Instead of spreading germs and COVID, right? We're going to spread peace, love, and positivity. And Hakuna Matata. Life is too short. A lot of people close to me that I know in the gym or, like I said, in my personal life, lost their family members because of this, or their jobs or their businesses, local businesses that, the world shut down because of this. So this only made me want to grow and be a better fighter because of this. So with me winning this Grand Prix, I know I'm going to help change the world. And I already have already in my family and people close to me, not just financially, but in also helping to let people know that you can still turn your dreams into reality, no matter what's going on or what situation, what cards we've been dealt with. As crappy of a situation as it is, we can still rise above, and we shall overcome. And it is possible, as so long as we never give up and we never lose hope, and we're patient, and we always just do our best, and you will take care of the rest. And life is good. Always count our blessings. That's another thing too. I think that people forget that there's always something to complain about, yes, but there's always something to be grateful for. And so every day above ground is a great day. So we got to remember that.
Well, you certainly have the right mindset entering Friday, April 2nd on Showtime, the semifinals of the Bellator Featherweight World Grand Prix. So let's close with this. I've read where you said you saw holes in Pitbull's game ahead of the first fight in which you just barely lost it. You said you see some of those same holes today. So as we enter this rematch, what do you have that is going to make the difference in you hosting up that Bellator Featherweight title?
So I saw that he posted something after the first time that we fought, Patricio did, on how he thanked me for such a great battle and him being able to defend his title. And then right after that, he went on and beat Michael Chandler and became the champ. And he finished him in the first round. So seeing as what he did to Michael Chandler so easily, and I was live for that. I've had the pleasure of being able to see him live, actually, since we fought. I've watched all three of his fights live. So Michael Chandler, Juan Archuleta, and Pedro Carvalho. And what will it take? Just me believing in my greatness. I know how great of a fighter he is, how dangerous he is. And I'm grateful for him, because without a great fighter like that, I wouldn't be able to go out and be in this position to where I'm at right now, knowing that I'm going to go out and take out such a great fighter. So me believing in my greatness. And after that, I'm going to thank him as well for that too. And thank you for the opportunity. And I know we're going to do it again. I know he's going to want that one back again after I go out and do whatever it takes to get the stoppage. I see myself being able to stop him with less than 3 rounds, because I've already had a war with him. We've already had a back and forth, hard fought 5-round battle. Now being more patient, more calculated, more intelligent, seeing and knowing his power, his speed, his strength. Now I know on where the holes that I can capitalize on and not let him get out. But if I need to, then no matter what, get my hand raised. So if it's 5 rounds, it'll be 5 rounds of me outclassing him, going the distance, and me with my hand raised.
Well, it's been a pleasure getting to hear a little bit more of your journey to this moment, April 2nd, as we mentioned, only on Showtime when you face the great Patricio Pitbull a second time. Emmanuel Sanchez, it's been a pleasure. We wish you the best of luck entering this one.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it very much.